Hey everyone, how are you? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mrs. Merrill. I will be going over your 7th grade Language Arts AAP test study guide. If we were still in school, I would have actually been with you for the last 3 sessions of AAP, but here we are together at home during our digital learning days. I hope that you guys are doing well and staying safe and healthy. The purpose of this video is to review the study guide so that you guys can feel prepared and confident when going into your AAP test, okay? Now, if you have any questions about your AAP test or this study guide, you can definitely reach out to me. Remember, my name is Mrs. Merrill, or you can reach out to your specific language arts teachers. So as you see in front of you, we have your study guide. I'm going to read through and review all of the concepts and skills that you need to know and understand in order for you to be successful in your test, okay? And then there are several words or vocabulary words to know that you guys can study, so they may help you understand the passages better. Okay, let's get started. So here on my screen, you see that we start with our study guide, okay? Right up here, it states, you must be able to read and comprehend multiple genres of literature and answer questions based on the passages. The following vocabulary and skills will be assessed on the test. So notice that we have a variety of skills on our study guide, okay? And we'll just go through each of them one at a time. So let's start with theme. We have been discussing theme throughout the entire school year. Remember that theme is a lesson or moral the characters may learn throughout a story. Readers like us would be able to learn the lesson maybe through the characters' actions and dialogue. So it's something that we're learning. Think about us reading Theseus and the Minotaur and how Odin lost his eye. We discussed theme to both of those passages, and we were able to understand that one of the themes in Theseus and the Minotaur is that Theseus was determined. He was very brave because he stepped up to fight the Minotaur because he knew what was right and what was wrong. Okay, so theme is just a lesson or a moral of the story. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that for you. Okay, on my copy anyways. So on your copy, it may not be highlighted, but at least you can review this video to get a better understanding of things, okay? All right, setting. The setting is the physical location, the where a story might take place. The setting could be anywhere. It could be school. It could be my dining room. This is my new school. This is my new office. It could be nature out in the woods somewhere. It can be someone else's home. It can be a hospital. It could be a school bus. The where a story takes place can really be anywhere, okay? But setting also includes the time a story takes place. The time could be a time period. It could be the time of day. Right now, you can see the sun shining in my windows, so it's during daytime. The setting could also be at night, okay? We also have to think about the setting being in the past, during the present, or maybe set sometime in the future. All right, so here we have the setting is the physical location where the chronological time of a story takes place, okay? And the setting can address a lot. It could also tell us a lot about the characters. All right, it says you must be able to identify and evaluate the setting and theme based on characters and their actions. You'll also be asked to identify the main or central idea of a story or specific piece of a story. We are currently working on main idea now. If you guys are reading the passage about Brazil's Snake Island, one of our activities was to understand the central and main idea of whether it's the entire passage or just a little piece of the passage, a certain section. All right, so it says right here, when you read passages, you may be asked to identify the main or central idea or section of a passage. It's really, what is the passage about? If you read a paragraph or a passage and I say, hey, what was that about? You should be able to pick out the main topic. What was the author speaking about? Okay, the main or central idea indicates what is being discussed. You can look for a topic sentence that tells the main idea of each paragraph. So sometimes the topic sentence will indicate what the passage or the paragraph will be about. Summarizing ideas. You'll be asked to give a summary of a certain passage. The summary includes all the specific topics or main ideas that the author is writing about. So here it says, when you must summarize a passage, you're being asked to give a brief statement of the author's main ideas. So a summary is a brief statement of the author's main ideas. Okay? And some of you may know this strategy right here. Somebody wanted, but so then. You can ask yourself that when you are trying to figure out or put together a summary of a passage. So somebody, think to yourself, who is the main character or who are the main characters? Wanted, what did they want? Or what did the characters want? What happened? But what problem or conflict stood in the way of the character? Okay, what happened? What was the conflict? Now, the conflict, remember, could be external or internal, and we'll go over that in a second. Then we have so. So how did the characters try to resolve the problem or conflict that was presented? What did they do? Was there a certain strategy? Did somebody help them? How was it resolved? And then towards the end, we have how is the problem or conflict solved? How does the story end? Okay, so think about that when you have to summarize a passage. Now, I did just say that we're going to go over conflict. As we go over conflict, remember that there are two different types of conflicts. There's external conflict. Remember, that's a problem with an outside force, and there are several different types of external conflicts. There's character versus character, or man versus man, when two people or two things go against each other. There's character versus society, character versus nature, character versus technology, and one that is evident in most stories is character versus character or man versus man, and we also see a lot of the time character versus nature. Another type of conflict is internal conflict. And that is a conflict within a character's own mind. Usually feelings are internal conflicts such as jealousy or hate. So just keep an eye out for that as you're reading through passages. And sometimes conflicts help the plot move forward. So if a conflict or problem happens, that may be a significant event in the story because the conflict is then something that has to be resolved. Okay? All right, let's look at tone and mood. Tone is the writer's attitude toward the topic, character, and or the audience. The mood is the feeling the reader has while reading a story. It's kind of like the atmosphere that is created by the reader and the author. Then we have point of view. Point of view is something that we have been discussing all year as well. There are a couple different points of view that we have been discussing. The first one being first person point of view. First person point of view is when the narrator is somebody who is inside the story. They are usually the main character and they use lots of personal pronouns such as I, me, my, our. Then there's third person limited. Third person limited is when the narrator uses a third person limited point of view and the perspective is limited, meaning that the thoughts and feelings of maybe one character is usually stated where we don't really understand the thoughts and feelings of all the characters, but it may just be one individual character. And then there's third person omniscient. We have read a lot of stories this year that have had third person omniscient narrators. A third person omniscient narrator is when the narrator uses third person and allows the readers to access the characters' thoughts and feelings, and more than one, meaning maybe most of the characters or even all of the characters. So we get to understand as readers most of the characters' feelings and thoughts rather than just hearing the story from one character, like in third person limited. Okay? If you have any questions about these topics or these skills, remember you can reach out to me or to your language arts teachers. Okay, let's move on. Here we have figurative language. Okay, figurative language is present in a lot of different types of passages. Figurative language can be present in fictional stories. Figurative language can be present in poetry as well. We often see it being used in poetry such as similes and metaphors and alliteration. Sometimes we see and hear onomatopoeia. For this specific test, I would like you to review imagery, alliteration, personification, and similes. Imagery includes descriptive words that appeals to our five senses. Okay, so our five senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So if there are any words that relate to those five senses, then you would have imagery. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. So a lot of our tongue twisters are alliterative, like Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper, or Sally sells seashells at the seashore. I also have the moon was a ghostly galleon. If you guys read The Highwayman this year, ghostly galleon was used in that poem, and the two words ghostly galleon start with the G sound. Now, one of the things that you have to remember is that alliteration goes by the sounds of words, not necessarily what the word starts with. So, for example, the words city and cat both start with C. However, city starts with an S sound and cat starts with a K sound. So if we saw those two words together, we might think that they're alliterative, but they're not, because they don't have the same sound at the beginning. Okay, so you have to be careful. So real quickly, if I had to show you, okay, city and cat. I know they're very easy words, but city and cat. Now you can see, hopefully you can see that, see? So you can see that city starts with C and cat starts with C. However, they have different sounds. So even though they start with C, they're not alliteration. However, if we have the word cat and kite, cat and kite, even though they start with two different letters, they have the same sound, okay? So you have to keep in mind that alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. So words can start with different letters, but if they have the same sounds, then they will be alliteration. Also take note that ghostly galleon only has two words with the same sound, whereas our Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers has several words that start with the P sound. You only need two words for it to be alliteration, okay? Then we have personification. Personification is, I think, one of figurative language's easiest words to understand. It has the word person in it, okay? So when we are trying to determine if personification is being used, we have to see if we are giving human-like qualities to something that is not human. So here are some examples. The road was smoking behind him. That would be that would be personification, because the road can't smoke. So we're giving some quality to a road that a human would have. The trees dance in the wind. So again, trees are dancing. People dance. So dance is definitely a human quality. And then we have the sun's eyelids were beaming with light. Eyelids are something that people have. So this would definitely be personification as well. Then our last figurative language, we have simile. A simile is where we compare two unlike things using like or as. Okay, so we have two examples for you. She is as innocent as an angel, and I am as tired as a baby. All right, so make sure you go through this entire study guide. Notice that there are lots of vocabulary to know as well. I highly suggest reviewing the vocabulary so that you can better understand these words. These words are words that are in your passages and included in your questions. Okay, if you have any questions about the study guide or the test, please reach out to me or your language arts teachers. Bye, guys.